evolution of sound.
Beep beep, what's up ninjas? Today's topic of discussion, we're going to be learning how to make this lead. Now, this was requested by one of you guys in the Evolution of Sound Facebook group, and hopefully this video helps you out and helps everyone out that follows me, and hopefully the people in the Evolution of Sound Facebook group. Now, in this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys the techniques. We have a little bit of advanced techniques in the sense that they're not advanced because you have to do a lot of crazy things with the knobs, but they're advanced because they take a little bit more to understand, and also they're going to be helpful because then what you can do is get these techniques. Let's say you have a preset pack that you really like, but the leads are overused. You can get those leads and apply these techniques to them. Now, if you guys are looking for more techniques like this, Silent One Secrets, it's out for those of you guys who keep asking for it. It's only $10 right now because it's New Year's Eve and Udemy's having a sale on it, so make sure to check it out. I'll leave the links in the comments below for the download of this preset and also the Silent One Secrets download link course. Now, here we go, guys. Pretty much, in order to make this lead, we're going to be utilizing Silent One. Whenever I'm making something that's all kind of sawish and it's only going to involve a saw, I always go for Silent One. It's the best synth, in my opinion, for that. But if you're looking to do other things like dubstep growls, this is not the synth for that. So the first oscillator, and this is we're only gonna be using part A of this, is gonna be a saw with 8 voices, detuned at 12 o'clock, and then oscillator A2 is gonna be a saw with 3 voices, and it's gonna be tuned a little bit at 12, but a little bit offsetted. Now the reason that in oscillator A2 we're offsetting the detunement a bit, and this is just common sense, is gonna be that we don't want two sounds that sound the same. Both sounds are playing in the same pitch interval, they're playing at the same key because we don't have any octave manipulation going on. So in order to make them sound different, in order for them to cover a broader frequency range, we just detune one just by slightly off a bit. Now the next thing is in filter A, we're going to be utilizing a bandpass, which again I've told you guys is my favorite filter, and this is where the first technique comes into play. It's a similar technique to the previous video we made on pretty much making your own future bounce leads, and that's going to be utilizing a bandpass with a very high resonance and distortion in order to get these really cool sounds out of it. Now the bandpass here, the cutoff is set to 9 o'clock, so it's going to look like that. We're adding a little bit of resonance and a drive at 9 o'clock as well. We're going to leave it at 24 dB, which means it's going to let out less frequency. So 12 dB is more kind of like a mountain that's like a hill, and then 24 dB, think of it as like a legit mountain, okay? Now filter controls also set to 9 o'clock here, and the key track as well. The key track is very useful. We talk a lot about it in Silent One Secrets when you're making presets for other people, and that's going to be key track is when the lower you go in the scale or the higher you go, the more the filter opens up to compensate for you going lower in the scale. It's useful for when you're trying to get sounds to pop out more of that higher frequency in the lower ends where you're going to be able to hear the harmonics better in there. Okay, now mod envelope 1, what we're going to be doing, this is where a lot of the technique of this happens. Whenever you move the cutoff filter with a resonance on it, it's going to give you this really cool kind of vocalish effect. That's what I like to call it. And if you pair it up with distortion, it even pronounces that, makes it more apparent. And this effect is what's going to be pretty much the trick to making these type of sounds. Now, if I were to get rid of every effect right now on this patch and just put distortion in this, that's pretty much the main sound. Everything else is just ear candy, like adding reverb and all this stuff. But this is the main sound, and these are the 3 things you need to note. The bandpass with the high resonance, or not so high, but you get my point. Distortion to get that resonance. It's already peaking. The distortion is going to apply hard on that resonance and give it more harmonics, giving you that kind of effect. And since we're moving the cutoff like this, we're going to be hearing the resonance kind of move at a really fast rate, and that's what gives us the Madison Mars sound. So here we have the cutoff again, a slight attack because Madison Mars has an attack on all his sounds, 1.322. Decay is going to be at 3.7, sustain at 0.920, and a release at 0.460. You don't need to have it though. It doesn't make that much of a difference. That's just being picky. We can move the cutoff as far as you want. Here you're going to get to the side. So it's totally up to you. I'm going to put it a little bit before 10, like around 7. I think it sounds better there. Okay, now once we have that, the distortion is self-explanatory. We're going to go into the phaser. Now the phaser is a hidden technique that not a lot of people know about. I've only known a couple of companies that utilize the phaser in the way it should be utilized, and that's going to be Vandalism and me at the time. I haven't seen any other sample company or preset company that uses the phaser in this exact way. And what we mean by this, guys, is the phaser is an effect that happens over time. There's an LFO in the effect, but one of the things that you can do is you can put the LFO to it'll be super slow, no LFO gain, which means the LFO isn't really doing anything, feedback low. But when we apply the phaser, then that's when, you know, we have this center frequency knob here that allows us to focus in on one frequency. And this is the technique that a lot of people don't even know about. And this is why I call this advanced techniques, because these are techniques that unless you're like fucking around and figure out that this happens, you're not going to know about it. So for instance, let's check this out. Now, if we put the dry and wet fully up, you can pinpoint in frequencies. It's like another bandpass, and this is going to be a frequency type of effect. So that's mainly why we have it there. Let's just put the wet back at 30%, and we're going to put this at a very mid interval here. And it's going to give it this weird texture that is needed in a lot of sounds. A lot of people are like, why can't I get my sound to sound like that? It's because of this simple phaser technique that a lot of people don't utilize. Like the cold water lead from Justin Bieber's and Diplo uses it. A lot of leads right now are using this technique. The next is just some chorus. The way I use my chorus is to make it sound a lot more stereo. Chorus is just kind of mimicking stereo, adding like layers to it. And back in the day, the way that people would get stereo leads from analog synthesizers, because analog synthesizers are in mono, is they would use a chorus to mimic it. The next is going to be an EQ one pole. This is where you can kind of EQ it any way you want. Next is some delay to give it more kind of like space and just make it sound beautiful. This is where we're like pretty much polishing the sound, getting it ready to come out. And then the compressor is the last trick. Ratio all the way up, threshold all the way up here. And then there you go. We can lower the ratio, however. Now let's open it a bit more. And there you have the Madison Morris lead. That's the way it works. Now, if you guys want the download, make sure to go in the in the comments below. I'll pin the post to get the download. And if you guys are interested in more techniques like the ones I was talking about, like the phaser technique, the distortion, there's a lot more of those in Silent One and Silent One Secrets. I teach all of them there that I use in all my presets to make them sound the way they do out of the box. So if you guys are interested, make sure to get it now. It's only $10. It's gonna go up to $20, maybe in a couple of days. I don't know how Udemy works with that stuff. But anyways, ninjas, take care. Have a happy new year. Hopefully you guys are moving forward in your career, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, ninjas, and have an amazing day.